Welcome to Sharing Hope. Our guest today is Mr. Bart Millard. My name is Jamie George. I'm your host. Bart sings with a band called MercyMe. He also produces films. He he's also a wonderful dancer.
Yes, I am.
There's a song perhaps you heard of called "I Can Only Imagine." That's been kind of a popular song, and he's done pretty well with that. And then a movie by the same name that just kind of blew us all away. We all knew it was a wonderful story, but just kind of took the box office by storm last year. That was pretty special. And Bart, I know you've also been, I think, in an executive producer role with a new film called I Still Believe with your friend
Correct.
Andy Irwin and story of Jeremy Camp. And been making music for, how has it been, 20 some years?
20 this year August will be 26 years.
26 years
Yeah.
with this band called MercyMe, and he's got a book. He has a radio program. Not yet.
No radio for you. Yeah.
Anyway, he's
Can you
a good
call me
friend.
daily and read this stuff off in the morning? So it's hard to get out of bed.
just to kick off your day. So this is my good friend Bart. Welcome to the show, Bart. We've been checking in with people, seeing how they're doing. How are you coping with the quarantine?
Man, so far I'm doing okay. It's a couple things. One is my job. I travel a ton, and so to be home this long is pretty weird. We do take large chunks of time off from time to time, and so but it's I think the difference with this is that, and I've told it, people ask like, man, are you going out of your mind? I was like, no, I'm not going crazy, because there's no deadlines waiting for me. Right now, there's no work to get back to as far as like, well, as soon as I get off vacation, I got this due and this due. It's kind of just, everything's been put on hold. And that's an unusual feeling that I'm trying to take advantage of. I'm married and have 5 kids, and so I'm still waiting for my alone time. But it's been pretty amazing. Just and trust me, I have my bad days for sure. But just certain days I wake up and I'm like, I mean, I've got an album to work on, but there's no hurry. We don't even know when it's going to be done. And it's just like, I'll wake up and go, man, I think I'm going to like ride my mini bike with my sons or what. Like, that's my biggest plan is that, or if we're going to try to eat out or whatever. I don't know. It's just a weird feeling, but so far we're well, I don't want to say we're really enjoying it, but we're taking advantage of it. And
are the kids taking advantage of you? Like, hey, Dad, I got this
Yes.
Common Core math, and I'd really like.
No, not taking it. No. I heard everyone graduates. That's the last thing I heard, and I'm sticking with it. Is that everyone goes straight to college?
Dad,
No,
could you write this essay for me?
Right. Oh gosh. No, they'll come to me for Mario Kart, and and that's about the only one that I'm competitive in. So we do play a lot of Mario Kart. But no, we're trying to do a little bit of school. Shannon's so amazing and diligent trying to make it happen, but it's like, we haven't given up yet, but it's been cool. It's like I will say that now more than ever, I couldn't be more grateful for having a large family. Like it has been, and I'm not saying, if it was just me and Shannon, and I don't know what it would be like, but I'm just saying there's not a dull moment. Like
you're not bored. Being bored.
Yeah, I literally watch my wife chase 2 of my kids directly across the room as we're talking right now, and laughing their heads off. So it's like so far it's been good. Do I want to get back to work? Yeah, I do. I want things to feel somewhat normal, but we're in this, and so I'm doing my best to like take it as a gift and not a curse or something that I could worry a lot and it's not going to get me anywhere, so I try not to.
Now I know you got a new Jeep. Have you had a chance to take? And I know it has a lot of colors actually, but have you had a chance to take it out yet?
I've taken it on. We have a trail where our studio is. We're on 35 acres, and we had a guy cut a trail through there, and so I've tried there, but with so much rain, I was like, ooh, I can't get stuck alone. So I've only gone a little bit of the ways. What's funny is, you mentioned that, is that, and this is so redundant, but I was going to get we live on some land here. So I was going to get a UTV, a Polaris or whatever.
Yeah.
And because we have a golf cart that just can't, it's dying, and it's not meant for what my kids are doing to it. So I ended up getting it's called a Mahindra Roxor, and it's basically a 1940s Willis Jeep.
What?
Oh, dude, it's amazing. So basically, Mahindra has made tractors for generations out of India, and they got the rights to the original Willis 1940s Jeeps during the war.
What?
And they would manufacture them over there, so we wouldn't have to ship ours over. And so they retained the deal to this day. They just have to change the grill. But I'll send you a picture.
Wait, like a World War II Jeep, like that kind of.
It looks like a Jeep from MASH, is what it looks like. And mine's bright orange, but I got one of those instead. It's a five-speed manual. It has a turbo diesel engine with a range of like 350 miles a gallon. But it's a side by side. It's small, a little bit smaller. It's big though, but I think top speed's 55. You can get it street legal. And so I'll send you a picture. You will freak out over it.
Maybe I will freak out.
Yeah. And Robbie, our drummer, is like, "Don't you have a Jeep?" I was like, I don't have this Jeep. Like, no, it's different. It's smaller, but it's amazing. And so we've been tearing that up out here a lot. But
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I have gotten a Jeep out there.
Okay. So, of course, those folks who have seen, I can only imagine, a little bit of your story, but you've actually had several seasons in your life where you've had to face a pretty mounting sense of dread, uncertainty.
Sure.
We've talked a lot about the story where you kind of, that one day in particular, came home, sat in a chair, the kids are kind of climbing on you, and you're just almost not there, just gone.
Right.
So many folks are in that space. I mean, the economic times, the financial insecurity, all the things we're dealing with that we don't have answers to. Could you go back to a time in your story where you dealt with that level of uncertainty, and how did you get through it, and how were you different because of it?
Hey, which one? Half of my songs are from dread. That's why I have so many songs. It was my therapy, is writing songs. But yeah, man, I mean, it goes back. The movie talks about when I was 19, my dad passed away with cancer. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I mean, gosh, I mean, some of the seasons that come to mind, and like the one where you're talking about, to where my brother-in-law was 19 when he was killed in a car accident. It was my wife's only brother, and it happened hours after he spent the whole evening through the night at our house, like just in a bad emotional state, had his heart broken, and we were trying to get him to stay at the house and sleep it off, and he left anyway. And then like an hour later, he fell asleep at the wheel and died. And so I went to this deep, deep depression of I didn't do enough to stop him, and felt like it was my fault. I'll never forget when my father-in-law called that morning, 2 hours later, and said, "Chris had died." And it kind of scared me. My first reaction was, I committed a crime. Like, I did something wrong, and instantly just snowballed into, I'm going to be taken from my family. Like, that's how it was such a weird feeling, because I thought I'm guilty of not doing enough. And it went from that to being the good Christian that I am, and not seeking counseling at the time, the good, stubborn Southern Baptist Christian that I was, and thinking that God's going to deliver me counseling is irrelevant. It just festered, and I got worse and worse and worse, to where I would go on the road and work as much as I could. I would come home, and then I would be so depressed. We had this chair in the corner of the living room that was a floral print chair, and I would sit in it, and I wouldn't even notice the kids climbing on me. Like, I was totally absent. Like, and my wife was like, "I just raised them by myself. You were gone." And we even to this day say, "Are you about to sit in the flower chair?" Which is like, are we about to go to a bad place? Still to this day.
Yeah.
And so it got to a point to where it was like something, I'm surprised. My wife could have easily left and said, "I'm done. I'm already doing it on my own." And we decided to go to like a grief counselor who took everything back to my childhood and the things, which ironically was, the movie took about 8 years to make. That counseling session was about the beginning of that 8 years, totally separate from the movie. We started going through counseling, connecting my childhood with how I deal with things now. And it was the exact same season when somebody said, "We want to make a movie." And I'm like, "I don't think it's going to happen." But I started getting healthy to where, we kind of let the process go. Anyway, but man, I just, I would not, if it wasn't for getting counseling, and talking to someone, I wouldn't have made it. There's no question. Like, it saved my life. It saved my marriage. It saved everything. And so for me, for a long time, I was an advocate of that, because the irony that there's so many Christians out there that think they don't need it, or they're supposed to be able to handle it without talking to someone, when we're the body of Christ. Like, the foundation of what we do should be talking to people, whether it's confession or whatever. It's kind of a version of that anyway,
Right.
But yeah, but that's how I coped, is having someone pour into me, my identity and who I am in Christ, and all of these things that I've done, or I feel like I've done. It's not who I am. And man, right now, I can honestly say I don't struggle with it. I have my moments, but I have my bouts with it, but it doesn't consume me like it did. But I think everyone's in the same boat right now. We're starting to realize that we're not allowed to do the things that we think make up our identity, whether it's our work or whatever. We're kind of stuck. And so if you were wrapped up in thinking this, my job or whatever it is as an athlete or whatever, that's who I am, and without it, I'm nothing, man, you could be in a bad place, because now we ain't got it.
Right.
And so I'm so grateful that I went through that, years ago. It doesn't mean I've got it all together, and I definitely have my bad days. And but for the most part, especially with MercyMe, man, Imagine first was successful years ago in like 2000, it's one thing. It's like success makes it worse. It's like now it's definitely your identity, and you're afraid, if I do anything different, I'm going to mess up this machine. And there's so many people involved, and so you get more wrapped up in, this is what I do, this is what I am. And it took a long time for me to realize, during that same time of depression and losing my brother-in-law and almost losing my marriage, was convincing my wife that they're more important than the band, and that's not who I am. So much so that today I can honestly say that if MercyMe called me right now and said, "Hey, we're breaking up, sorry," I would not lose an ounce of sleep tonight, because it's just an overflow of what I know I am and who I am in Christ. And it's not always been that, but and you know me well enough to hopefully believe that that's pretty much true.
Yeah.
I might be worried about, job with hard labor. But other than that, I'm like, I do love being a part of MercyMe, but if it ended tomorrow, and this is kind of proof of that, even the fact that we don't know when we're going to tour next, we're not sure what the future holds. And in our meetings, when we're talking about it, everybody's like, well, it'll one day it's going to come back. We're good. And no one's panicked. No one's freaking out. And it's like, we're just kind of chill and hanging in there and waiting to see, because that's not what makes us who we are. And
Do you think the crisis was and does it feel like almost everyone has to go through that identity crisis to get there? Like, what's the shift for you in letting go of your identity, being as an artist, as a musician, as what you do, what you create? How did you go through that shift? And does it feel like everybody has to go through some kind of crisis to get there? Or is there another way to get there?
Gee, you froze up. Hold on, you froze up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you back.
Okay, say it one more time. You stopped about halfway through the question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So does it feel like, so you go through this crisis and you kind of come face to face with questions about identity. Does it feel like everybody has to go through some kind of a crisis to face that? Or is there a way around the crisis to just let it go and know who you are?
It's a good question. I don't know if there's let me put it this way. I think there's a reason why some people say suffering is a gift. If there's another way around the mountain, I haven't seen it yet. It's hard to speak on behalf of everyone.
Right.
Sometimes it's too hard to climb and go around. So sometimes you just got to go through it. Yeah. And so I may be wrong. Most of the time, if I meet someone that says, I didn't have to go through that, you can tell pretty quickly they're probably not there yet, because I was the holier than thou, very judgmental person until the bottom fell out for me. And all of a sudden, man, when you desperately want to receive grace, it's hard for that not to impact every aspect of your life from that point on. And so, yes, I think, I would say, yes, I think most people yeah, if it's happened some other way, somebody needs to hurry up and write a book, because it would be nice to be less painful. But it seems like the people that I see, to where you see clarity in their eyes and there's a wisdom, and some people will substitute and just say, well, it's just they're further on in life. What are you going to call it? It means they've suffered through something and they've come out the other side.
So in some ways, this season then really, if we chose to look at it that way, for those of us who are dealing with the suffering, it might be different levels of intensity, but certainly the uncertainty, the questions about the future, the unknown, the feeling of perhaps anxiety or dread, and maybe on a good day curiosity, but those of us who are living with this, I don't know what's going to happen. We could this could be an opportunity to let the difficulty kind of work in us, work through us.
Well, I would say, why not? We're in the opportunity, whether we like it or not.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like, I mean, and yeah, I think it's funny, because I've heard people in the news say, we keep talking about getting back to normal, but then they'll say it's never going to be the normal we know.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, what a great spiritual application to, it's like we so badly want to get through, whether it's an argument with our wife, or it's a with a spouse, or just something difficult. Like when my son was diagnosed with diabetes, I so wanted to get through it and back to normal, and never really stopped to go, normal has changed forever. Like, it'll never be the same. Whether it's something as obvious as type 1 diabetes on my son, or just the fact that you will not be the same person because of what you're going through, no matter what. And so we always call it the new normal. That's what it is. No matter what we go through, is that we're getting ready for the new normal. It's not back. We don't go back.
We're not going
we just
back.
Don't do it.
No,
don't go back.
There's that great line by I think it's Anthony DeMello, who says, most of us are just after the relief. We're not that interested in the cure.
Oh gosh, it's so true. It's so true. Yeah.
Just take away some of the tension, right?
Yeah. I'm the worst. If I hate movies that just like This Is Us, or any of those shows. Like, I will fight tooth and nail to sit down and watch it, because I don't want to go there. But once I've watched it, I'm like, man, it's always good to have a good cry. It's like, it's the reason I've never seen The Notebook, because I know that I'll probably like it and be better for it, but I do not want to suffer through that, man. And and we have this ongoing joke. When This Is Us came out, my wife's like, it's time, it's tonight. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. And so she would wait and push play when I'm in the room, and it pulls me in 2 seconds. I'm like, I hate you so much. I'm a better person. And dude, it's been that every time, and I'll still fight it. I will fight it every time. Where I don't know if it's a guy thing or what. Homesick was written after my brother-in-law was killed in a car accident, and Hurt and the Healer was when my cousin, who's a firefighter, died in the line of duty. So it's what I do. But and it wasn't like I said I have to write this. It just comes out of me. There's not really much effort. But when there's not a crisis, like right now, aside from what we're going through, when I started working on the album right now, let's say a year ago, things are pretty good. And so it's harder for me to write a song, because I'm not drawing from a certain well.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I know that I need to take myself to the well, which means I've got to go in this dark space and deal with things I've never dealt with. And so I fight songwriting tooth and nail. I hate going into that. I know some people, I don't know about you, but I know some people that write books are like, I don't like going there, because one, I have to stay until I finish. And so it's like I hunker down, and I can't just stop at 5 and walk away. I got to keep going. And so it's usually a painful place. I love the results. I love what comes out of it. But it's just hard. It's like exercise. It's hard to get up and get on the treadmill or whatever, but that's the hardest part. But I've always loved the result. And that's where I am now. That's why this new album's over a year in the making still. Because I'm just like, after the movie and all the craziness, I just was like, man, I think I just want to take a break. And so it's been kind of a slow burn. And
how do you get through when you want to avoid or procrastinate? What pushes you through to actually get to the end result?
Feeling responsible for others is one. I've got a band and crew and people that eventually, and deadlines, I hate them, but they make the world go round. And so, like in the reason this one went is because of all the movie and stuff. Our label said, you know what? When the album's right, we'll put it out. No deadline. And my manager was like, it's you just ruined it. It's never coming out.
Right.
And we're at 14 months and nothing. It's like, and like, I was like, that's the last thing you tell me. I need a deadline. And so we're kind of self-imposing a few of those on us now, and we're getting results. But I need something to push me in, because I usually am not going in under my own free will.
I've heard so many people talk about, had this not happened, they would not have had this space for self-reflection. They would not have appreciated, over and over again, clearly people talking about time with family and these other things. So okay, just random question then. So is there anything that used to matter a great deal to you that after going through this matters less?
Yes. I don't know what it is specifically, but when I was home, I fell into a routine of, I've got to be doing something. And whether it's a writing session with someone else or a meeting, or almost something that just appeared like I was keeping the ball rolling, if you will. Mm-hmm. Even because, like some of the guys, like Mike, our guitar player, when we're on tour, it's like he tours. That's what we do, is work. And when he's home, you can't even get him on the phone. It's like, man, we still got other things to do. And he's like, man, I'm gone 4 or 5 days out of the week. I'm done. And it used to drive me crazy. And now I realize, like, okay, a lot of it's kind of just going through the motions and unnecessary for me. But, and I think also, I don't know if it's giving something up, but it's like, and I don't know if it's just the way I grew up, but if I had enough time to play catch with my kids or play Mario Kart for big chunks of the day, I'm doing something wrong. Like that shouldn't be right, because I don't look at the fact that I've been gone for 4 or 5 days, 24 hours long.
Right.
I'm like, it's that whole idle hands, the devil's play thing. I was like, I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm a grown man. I'm supposed to be. And now that everything's been kind of put on hold, if you will, I'm finding joy in that, and realizing that there's so much that I do for MercyMe that's kind of all consuming, that it's okay to slow down and to be with my family. And my hope is, when things start rolling again, that I hang on to more of this than the other, that the writing sessions or whatever they can wait, or I can prioritize them for certain parts of the week. Like, we just decided as a band, was like, hey, we could be working all hours of the day, because weekends and weekdays don't even matter now.
Right.
But we decided, okay, how about this? How about, we're usually gone from home Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever. Let's just work Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's the one time, if we have MercyMe stuff to do, whether it's a meeting or whatever, let's just do those 3 days that we would have normally been gone, and leave the rest alone. And just to kind of have a little bit of a normal schedule, because we could, if we really tried, sit around and talk about nothing all day and look like work, plan. I mean, we can only plan for so long. And so, so I'm like, I'm just learning just to be available. Like, this is I was so glad we had this, because now Monday, my Monday has reason. And so after this, I'm going to go play Mario Kart. I'm not even lying. I'm not lying to you. I'm going to play Mario Kart.
Have you had a moment has Shannon had a moment yet where she's like, okay, Bart, you need to go plant trees or something? I mean,
well, no, well, there are things around the house that I'm trying to, I'm just not very.
It's not weird for her yet. Like, you're there too much. She's okay.
Oh, no. She will never be weird with that. Like, ever. She's like, she's thanking whoever caused this thing. Like, hey, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're just very fortunate that, I've been trying to sit down and just kind of meditate and just pray for certain people at different times. It's something that I don't do very well, and trying to. And the other night I was writing down, like, man, I can't imagine families that are in any even remotely abusive situations to where they're stuck at home, or marriages that are not in a good place, and just because we're very fortunate, and sometimes you can kind of get stuck in a bubble thinking, well, everybody lives like this. Everybody has 5 kids that get along, and a wife that you love and stuff. And so it's been like, just trying to be, just, if nothing else, just to pray for them, because it's like, I know people are in some rough situations, and have made work and kids going to school. All these have become escapes for certain people. And you know, you can say, well, it's good for us to be around, but to pull the rug out from under someone that fast, even if, whether it's a dangerous situation or just unhealthy, that's a scary place to be, man. Some people don't come back from that. And that's where it's like, you know, yeah, that's a frightening thing. And so I don't know how you help the people other than doing things like this. And that's all we do right now is to put stuff on social media that makes people laugh or smile for a second, and just take their mind off of it. We just don't know what else to do. And so I was like, well, we sing for a living, so maybe we just sing and just try to make people laugh. So
I love it. Well, speaking of that, as we wrap up, where could people, if they want to hear, I mean, I know the touring thing and all those things are in question, but if they want to hear your music, if they want to catch up with what's going on with you or with MercyMe, where do they go?
Well, if it's on Instagram or Facebook, you just look up, I think it's MercyMe Music. But I mean, and that place is fine. Everything kind of funnels through there. There's a lot of like inspirational things, stuff like that. If you want something that's a little more real, and like my thread is at Bart Millard, Millard. And so a lot of just the daily stuff, inspirational stuff doesn't go in that. It's just me being a knucklehead. And so if there's anything big with MercyMe, whether we do a performance from our house or whatever, that goes on both. But if you just want like the stuff we're talking about, like, I'm just a 12-year-old in a grown man's body, and that's all my Instagram and Facebook page is me acting like an idiot. So it's good for at least a couple of laughs, I think. Or you'll just, you know, you can just punch the screen if you need that too. I'll be your punching bag.
Well, man, I've missed you, and so good to catch up.
Same here,
man.
Yes. Well, let's do it again.
I want to see the Jeep.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that Jeep owners have an edge right now because the weather's perfect and there's nothing better than driving with the top off.
I know.
Like,
hey, and I got a winch on the front of mine. Let's go. You know,
right.
Yeah, if one of us gets stuck, you know, there's a way to get out.
I could pull you out from 6 feet away. I'm down. In fact, I've got a friend that just bought like 90 acres outside of town, and he said, "Man, if you want to come and just tear the place up, and I'll let you know."
Okay.
I'll let you know. All right.
I love it.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Good to see you, brother.
All right, man.
Say hi to the fam.
Take care.
Okay.
I'll do it.
See
You
ya.
too. Bye.